Tennessee. From the east to the west, we are talking Cowboys everything. And you just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is Lambo from Cowboys, y'all, out of Johnson City, Tennessee.
All right, guys, we have a very special guest with us today.
Very?
Yes, we are very excited about this. I don't know if you can tell. But from DallasCowboys.com, Mr. David Helman.
I don't know about special, but I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me on, y'all. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Where was the applause thing?
No, there's no applause necessary. Like I said, I don't know about special.
Well, again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I know you have a lot going on, and we appreciate you taking the time out to check with us.
Hey, that's the beauty of it, man. Honestly, I don't really have a lot going on. It's a pandemic, and I mean, I know, the team's starting to report to the facility, but it's a very gradual process. So, I'm not even cleared to go back to the Star right now if I wanted to. So okay. I got plenty of time to sit and shoot the breeze with y'all, and I'm happy to do so.
Speaking of that, have they given you guys any kind of word as to when you can get back in the studio? Because I missed you guys in the studio together.
Well, first of all, thank you. I miss doing that. All I really know is that accommodations are being made to make the studio ready for us. And, I honestly, I don't have a date. I don't really have that much information. I just know they're working on it. And I've been on more and more phone calls the last week or so, kind of getting the details in order. So, when the whole team's together and training camp is a full go, we're going to, I think Derek and Nick said it on Twitter today. We'll be right back doing shows like we always do. So hopefully it's in the next week or two, but I guess we'll see for sure in the coming days.
Yeah, that'll be awesome news.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can get you guys on the sidelines. I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, man. I don't need to tell y'all. It's everything about it's weird. And, obviously media is kind of lower on the totem pole than figuring out how to get the team back and get them doing everything. So, like I said, I know they're figuring out the specifics. I don't really know what they look like yet, but, hopefully, there's going to be this ramp up period where the team gets reacclimated, and hopefully when that starts getting underway, we can start doing our thing again.
Yeah. It won't be training camp for me until I see you on the sidelines with the bucket hat on. Telling me how CD Lamb looks running out routes.
I saw I really love the photo y'all used. I appreciate that. It's going to be interesting this year, which first world problems, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not complaining, but usually, obviously we're in Southern California most years. That's not going to happen this year.
Right.
And, I'm curious, are they going to practice inside or it's no joke, man. I just went for a run before I hopped on with y'all. It's 105, even at 6:00 at night. So, if they practice outside, I bet it's going to be at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So it could be a lot of really early days for yours truly, I guess. We'll see.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So basically just expect a lot of changes.
Oh, yeah. It's all I know for sure is that it's going to be unlike anything we've ever done or seen before. So
let's hope that turns into a good thing.
Hey, if they can get to the point where they're safely practicing and playing football, I don't care what we have to do.
Right.
Just give us football.
Yeah, I'll get my brain swabbed 3 times a week if you need me to. I don't care, whatever.
Right, the price you pay for the team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so guys, everybody joining us here tonight. The reason we're here is because for you guys that have been following us for the past 6 weeks, we have been doing roster breakdown position by position. And David, I don't know if this bothers you, but for us, we hated when we see people say, well, oh, let's keep 7 receivers and let's keep 8 cornerbacks and let's keep the 9th defensive end. It's not realistic. So today we decided, we compiled our list from all 6 weeks, and we're going to go through the positions to see how we make an actual 53-man roster.
I like it. Yeah. And and that's the hardest part about doing roster projections is you got to draw the line somewhere, and
Exactly.
somebody's pet cat's going to get cut, and it sucks, but it's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
This year is actually going to be different. I've been thinking about that a lot. It's 55 now, and then throw in the sorry, my dog's butt is in my camera. I told y'all before we came on, she's very needy, so she can't really handle not having my attention. Anyway, sorry. But the other thing is, going back to the COVID conversation, like, we don't even know how many guys they're going to technically bring to camp. It sounds like the roster is going to be smaller than usual, and obviously that's going to make it even tougher for the French guys. So it's already hard putting together a roster projection, and I think it's going to be even harder this time around.
Yeah.
Speaking of pet cat, do you have a pet cat?
Pet cat. I do. I'll give you a really weird one. I've been thinking a lot about this guy, and I'm gonna butcher his name. I'm so sorry.
Sewo.
Yes, thank you. Sewo
Alanalua.
There we go. I knew it would come back to me. I haven't really said it since the draft process ended.
I like him.
I'm intrigued, man, because he's 6'3", 230. He's going to get billed as a fullback, I think, because of that. But he was a running back at TCU, and when I think about what you could do with him in short yardage or goal line stuff, obviously with Zeke and TP, this team is pretty set at running back. But let's see what he can do.
I agree.
Yeah, and what's interesting about him is they had kind of a thunder and lightning duo going, and he was actually the pass catcher.
Exactly, and that's another. And I know we didn't see it last year, but I'm really convinced that Kellen Moore loves utilizing the fullback. I think that's why Jameis Olawale got his option picked up so quickly this offseason. So I think that is something that Kellen Moore likes to do. So if Sewo can handle it, I think it's definitely something worth looking at.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, before we get started with this, everybody who's watching, make sure that you share this. Share this to your personal page. Share it to your favorite group page. I know you guys are just like us. You get tired of hearing people say, let's keep 80 players. We can only keep 53. So we're going to do a quick breakdown of position by position to get to 53. And you guys can get in the comments and butcher us if you hate what we say or tell us we're great. I'm sure we're going to get more negative than positive. So make sure you share this before we get started. All right. So I feel like in order to kind of get away from all the pet cats and the prejudices that we have towards certain players, we should start off by looking at, let me make sure I got the right screen up, just the numbers. So, David, take a second to take a look at this.
Yeah.
Tell me any position you think kind of stands out where you think our number may be off.
Okay. All right. I suck at doing math in my head, so please.
I mean, everything's already added up, but like, do you think
it's flexible. So I mean, 3 quarterbacks is never going to be a guarantee. 5 defensive tackles could be a little bit heavy depending on what else you want to do with your defense. Same thing. It's not crazy to see 10 defensive backs, but it's also, teams go with 9 sometimes, especially if you have flexible guys who can move between the 2 positions. And then So on this projection, you've got 9 offensive linemen, which that's not crazy, but a lot of times you'll see teams go with 8, whether that's 3 tackles or, and I mean, it says 2 centers, but I think of it more as like 1 center and 4 guards. And one of those,
can play both.
Basically,
yeah, one of those guards probably has center flexibility like a Connor McGovern. But I mean, I don't see anything on here that I think is just outright wrong. It just, it's going to be different for every team based on what you want your roster to look like and who you have. So, I mean, this is my 8th year covering the Cowboys. I've seen them, they've kept 5 tight ends before. They've had years where they only kept 2 running backs. They've had years where they had 7 linebackers. One year I was shocked. I remember one year they had their secondary was just 8 players. They had 4 and 4. And I thought that was crazy. So it changes every year, but I don't think this is totally off base at all.
Okay. We were getting butchered when we said only 5 wide receivers. What do you feel about that?
They have kept 6 in recent years. Yeah. So again, it's totally possible if a guy just absolutely refuses to be cut. I mean, if you just absolutely are terrified of putting him on the street, you could do that. But here's my personal theory is people fall in love with receivers at training camp because it is the easiest position to evaluate. Are you getting open? Are you catching the ball? And, people like me who take videos of reps at training camp, like that's what jumps out to you. Somebody watching a 40-second video on Twitter, you're not really going to be able to see the intricacies of the line play. You're going to see, who's getting open, who's catching passes. And the thing, and I don't mean to throw shade at any receiver on the Cowboys roster, but every single team in the NFL has like 3 young receivers that their fan base is totally in love with. And it happens. It happens every single year. So I absolutely think they could keep 6 receivers, but I don't think they need to, especially when, you have arguably the top trio in the league. There's only so many opportunities for the other guys to go around anyway.
And that was our exact thought process.
Yes, exactly. It was.
Which sorry, not to cut, but that doesn't necessarily make us right either. Like I said, I mean, if there's a receiver on this team who can really contribute on special teams, a guy like Ventel Bryant really comes to mind, who can, he can obviously play receiver, but can be on a lot of on the kick teams as well. That's only going to boost his odds. So I definitely wouldn't be shocked if they kept 6 at all.
Okay. All right. So I made a note of the position you said we're going heavy at. So when we get to that point, you could tell us what guy you think we should take off the list.
Okay.
Because I can tell you right now.
I just get to cut everybody. I'm just like,
you're out of
here.
That guy.
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
GM Helman.
All right.
When you said NDBs, I already know the comments are gonna be crazy when you say who you're getting rid of.
I am not afraid.
Okay.
So let's do it.
All right.
We should see who Marcus got rid of on the.
I changed it.
Oh, you changed it?
I did. So before we start, Stephen Arthur, Taiwan, Tyler, thank you guys for joining us. Let's get the comments up. Let's get some comments. Let's get some feedback about what we're talking about, and make sure you share this. All right. So first, now we'll actually put names with the positions, and we'll start off with the offense. So this is kind of where Lambo and I went. And first off, quarterbacks. We both think they're gonna keep 3. We drafted a quarterback, Ben DiNucci. That means McCarthy must really see something in him. And we both kind of thought he may be afraid to let him succumb to waivers. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I don't think it's a guarantee, but you should always, in my experience, you should always follow the coaches when it comes to this stuff. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they decide this. And McCarthy stood on the table for DiNucci. Mm-hmm. McCarthy is the reason DiNucci's here. Having said that, I will say every year it seems like we fall in love with a young quarterback and we can't put him on waivers. We can't put him on waivers. And then you cut him and he clears waivers.
Right.
It is what it is. But I really do. I think DiNucci has McCarthy in his corner, and if he's remotely decent during preseason, I wouldn't be shocked if they kept him at all. So totally fine with that.
Okay, because I know normally we keep 2, and we happen to have 2 very veteran, very seasoned quarterbacks. So you could really get away with 2 if you needed to.
Oh, absolutely. And typically when you have a situation as good as the Cowboys do, where you have a Pro Bowl starter and a Pro Bowl backup, that's where you get away with, you can go light at quarterback to reinforce other areas, and that's going to be on the coaches to figure out. Is DiNucci really good enough that we need to use that roster spot, or should we be using that to bolster another part of our team?
Right.
Very true. Mike Poland from the UK United Kingdom Cowboys said he's still not sleeping, and y'all need to get on the Jaeger shot.
Yeah, the UK guys are trying to get me on the Jaeger train, and I'm not in college anymore. I don't think I can handle it, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those guys are professional drinkers.
Those guys, and listen, I take pride in my ability to drink, but those guys are crazy.
Get some sleep, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. But we appreciate you joining us. All right. So next we go to running back. And right here kind of went the opposite. We got 2 veteran guys. We decided we didn't need a third running back. We both like Sawo. Brandon really likes Jet. So it was kind of hard for us to keep one of those 2 TCU guys off. What do you think about us keeping off a third running back right here?
I think it's smart. And if Jason Garrett was still the coach, I would say absolutely. That's a really good call, because they've been doing that the last year or 2. And that's not to say McCarthy won't do it, but we just don't know his tendencies as well as we knew Jason's. So, but again, you talk about, you're trying to find room for other players to make your roster.
Yeah.
Zeke's going to be on the field a ton, and that you really love Pollard, and you have a fullback that you really trust. So I'm totally on board with this too. Honestly, I think a third running back is kind of a waste of a roster spot, because it's just like receivers. There's going to be a million running backs get cut when training camp is over. So you can find a guy on the street if you need to. Yeah. Mike Weber's a perfect example of this. He didn't really serve a purpose when you tally up all the other snaps that go to running backs. So I think it's a great way to kind of cheat, if you will, and get out of there without wasting the spot.
Yeah. And as it is, averaging 5.5 yards per carry for Pollard last season, he already doesn't get as many touches as I would like.
Preach.
So, give the guy the freaking ball, man.
Get him on the field, please. Yes. God.
Figure it out. Get him out there. Come on.
When we went through the running back position, I was shocked to see he only had like 18 catches on the year. As a former wide receiver, that's almost criminal.
The way they handled Tony's snaps last year was criminal. It absolutely was. And then think about, if you're just, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I apologize, but go look at his snap count for the year and remember that Zeke was still working his way back into the lineup because he didn't have a training camp. So Pollard got a ton of snaps week 1 and week 2. And then week 3, they blew the Dolphins out, and he ran for 100 yards, a lot of it coming in the second half. So if you cut those 3 games out and just go on the other 13, he was even less involved.
Yes.
And it's unforgivable when you see, how dynamic he is.
Unforgivable.
First of all, great reference. But
that old video came to mind.
Old school internet right there. No, it frustrates me to even think about, because he obviously is such a talent, and they weren't creative enough to figure out how to complement him with Zeke.
Yeah, so now we go to tight end, and right here we had no clue where to go. We feel like they're gonna go 3 tight ends. We don't like any of the tight ends at the bottom of the roster, honestly. Our thought process was, who do we think is the best pass catcher and route runner? Because we don't see Blake Bell being able to fill that role if something happened to Blake Jarwin. So go ahead.
No, sorry. I got a couple thoughts here. One, I mean, if I'm making the team, I'm keeping 3 tight ends because I want to run 11 personnel as much as possible. But Mike McCarthy loves multiple tight end sets. Going back to his days in Green Bay, that's a thing. So, in the interest of depth and stuff like that, I wouldn't be shocked if they kept 4. That wouldn't surprise me. I love the names that you've got here. This is really just more of a hunch and talking to people around the building, but like I'm very intrigued by Cole Hikatini. He's a super, super talented guy, like a very good receiving tight end. He played with Lamar Jackson at Louisville.
Yeah.
So, he probably would have gotten drafted if he hadn't hurt himself during his final college season. So I think that could be a real diamond in the rough situation because, he was on the practice squad all last year. It's not like we even really got a great chance to see him. Exactly. And then another name that I would consider is the Michigan rookie Sean McCown. I think that's how you pronounce it. I have it on pretty good authority that if they hadn't drafted DiNucci, McCown was another name that they were really considering using that final draft pick on. So they clearly feel pretty good about him. And, he did a little bit of receiving at Michigan, but he was a big blocking guy, big bodied guy. He's like 6'5". So, and that's not to, Dalton Schultz, I'm not trying to necessarily cut you, but I think there's going to be some real competition for that spot for sure.
And we agree with you. We think McCarthy's a 4 tight end guy, but just looking at the list we have, we didn't see a 4th one that we thought was better than the 6th defensive end or the 6th corner. And that's kind of why we went with 3.
Totally fair.
Yeah. But I'll make a note of that for sure. All right. Next up, we got center. I mean, pretty straightforward. We know who these guys are.
Yeah, I feel dumb because earlier I said typically a team has 1 real center, but I mean, obviously, like the Cowboys really do have 2 true centers right now. I mean, Joe can play guard and Biadasz probably could too, but these guys are both here to play center. So, and they're both going to be on the team for sure. So you don't really need to overthink that.
Yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory there. And
so with the way the offseason is going right now, do you really think Tyler Biadasz will get a chance to get the starting spot for week 1?
I mean, no, not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to say he won't have a chance because if he shows up and just absolutely kicks ass, if he blows everybody away, then sure, I think it's possible. But Joe's been here since 2016. He started for a team that made the playoffs. He's been in the league since 2012, and I just think that is a lot. He's obviously, he's got a relationship with Dak. That's a lot to overcome for a rookie.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think people want McGovern or Biadasz to get that job because they're the new, young, exciting players. But in a year where there was no offseason, I just think Joe Looney is a lot better than a lot of people want to give him credit for.
That was the exact reason I had Looney starting to begin the year. And if Biadasz, I think he could eventually start at some point, but no sooner than midway through the season. And that would only be if, maybe Looney's playing below par for some strange reason. But
yeah.
All right. So now we move on to guard. We basically got 3/4. Lambo and I both kind of go in different directions once you go past the top 2. We both kind of agree Connor McGovern is going to be the starter with Zach Martin. I don't know how you feel about that.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Okay.
So Lambo still likes Connor Williams as a guard. I like Cam Irvin more as a guard than a tackle. So where are you at in terms of Cam Irving and what you think he is as a player?
I lean toward what he did most recently, which was play tackle, and the timing of it. And I mean, I know he's played guard. You're not right. I mean, he's played all over the place. He played center too. I just think the timing of it, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but they didn't pick up Cam Fleming's option. They let him go to the Giants, and then they immediately signed Cam Irving. And then you look at the amount. I mean, there are so many guys on this team that have guard center flexibility that can play on the inside. I just don't really see why you need to move Cam Irving in there, because you have Zach, you have the two Connors. We already said Joe and Biotish can probably play a little bit of guard if they need to. Don't forget about Adam Redmond. He's still hanging around. And then I struggle to think of their names, but I think there's at least one or two undrafted guys as well. So, I mean, that's a pretty full house. And then go look at the tackle situation, and behind the two starters, there's not a ton of NFL experience. So I think Cam will be predominantly a tackle for this team, if I had to guess.
For me, I watched a couple of his games, just kind of watching tape on old games. He doesn't make bad blocks. He completely misses. And that terrifies me when my left tackle completely misses an end.
Yeah, I've seen the clip you're talking about.
I've seen 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And it was
no, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I felt good about it, and I don't want to skip ahead, but the name that I'm circling, and y'all both have it, so good for y'all, but I'm the captain of the Brandon Knight bandwagon.
Thank you.
That's my guy. I remember we loved him when the Cowboys signed him after last year's draft. Brian Broaddus was enamored with him. He went back and watched his Indiana tape, and he's just like a mean, nasty dude. We had Will McClay on the draft show after the draft, and Will raved about his attitude and the way he plays. And then, he actually got a chance to play. First of all, he made the roster as a rookie last year, and had to step in and actually start a game. And I thought he handled himself really, really well. So, I think I'm certainly intrigued by where he goes in year 2. And my hope is that he's the swing tackle. I hope that he can win that job from Cam Irving and be the number 3 guy. That's my hope.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of right there. That's kind of why we went different with Connor Williams / Cam Irving. We both love Brandon Knight because he's a right, and we think he's going to be that swing guy. So whoever we have that's a backup is just going to be emergency if we need him.
Which the scary thing is that they probably will need him given Tyron and Lyle's histories. So something to watch.
Jumping over to wide receiver just really quick. With the 3 undrafted guys we got with Rogers, Parker, and Guidry, do you see one of them pushing their way onto a roster spot by chance? No, Parker had a lot of production, but it was a tiny school. And then Rogers, of course, you see the playmaking ability, but the consistency is just
Rogers is
there.
Rogers is really interesting because he jumps off the screen at you. If you watch college football or watch tape, he lit Clemson up a couple years ago when they played at Kyle Field, and he played great against LSU in that crazy overtime game a couple years ago as well. But he's this super big, impressive receiver, but then you go look and I think his career high for yardage is 300 or 400 yards or something like that. It's not a lot. I don't want to write people. I hate writing guys off because that's what camp is for, right?
Right. You don't know.
But at the same time, without an off season and 3 of the 5 spots are just spoken for, obviously. Right. That's done. There's no doubt about it. And then the guys that are, the other guys down the roster, Devin Smith, obviously we know all about him. He's got the game-changing speed. He's a former second-round pick. Cedric Wilson works as a return man. He can play in the slot if he needs to. Very versatile. And then, we haven't seen Noah Brown in 2 years, but we know that he's got the big, bulky body type that makes him useful for a lot of dirty work reasons away from actually playing receiver. Mm-hmm. Same thing goes for Vintel Bryant. The guy was active every week last year. only caught one pass. But again, it's not sexy, but you need guys who can be on your kick teams and your coverage teams and stick their blocks. So I think I would be surprised if a rookie beats out that gaggle of guys, especially, maybe if they keep 6, but
too much experience. And like you said, with the off season and the guys that are already there kind of got a leg up on them too.
I'm just personally, like, I'm a big Noah Brown fan, just him as a person. And also, like I said, what he can, he's got that like Dez body type that allows him to box people out. Unfortunately, he's been hurt, which I think if I had to guess right now, I think Devin Smith and Cedric Wilson get those 2 other spots. That would be my guess, but should be exciting to see for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I really like Noah Brown. And it seems like he's been there forever, but he's only like 23 years old because he came into the league so early. So I think there's still some growth potential there for him.
I didn't realize he was that young. Goodness.
He maybe.
I mean, he was He was part of that 17 draft class. Or was it 18? No, it was 7. No, he's been around for a while. Honestly, I haven't checked in with him since last season ended.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see where he's at health-wise, because obviously, I mean, he didn't even really get off the ground last year.
Yeah. Speaking of age, this was a kind of an interesting note we put up when we talked about wide receivers. For the people that really love Jon'Vale Johnson, he's actually older than Noah Brown.
I honestly didn't even think about Jon'Vale. Like, that's another one, which honestly I thought he might make the team last year.
The hands. Just get the hands.
It's always a matter of consistency with these. I swear, every year, man, that we talk about people fall in love with these rookie receivers, and like every year without fail, the guy that everybody falls in love with kind of freezes up in the preseason. It was Lance Lenore a couple years ago. It was Jon'Vale last year, and that's actually, I hadn't thought about that. I'm thinking out loud a little bit, but like if there's not going to be any preseason games, that's going to make it even tougher to evaluate these guys and see how they react when the lights are on.
Right. And that's exactly why we didn't have them on the list. Because
totally fair.
We both really liked them. Before we leave offense, I want to go back to tackle for a minute.
Okay.
I personally think, I don't know if you've heard anything, but I've heard nothing about Connor Williams' development right now from his ACL surgery in November, December. Do you think he's going to start on the PUP list? Because I feel like just with everything's going on, a normal ACL injury is 6 to 9 months. You throw COVID in, you may have another month delay, and that puts him right at September before he's even back on the field.
That is a really good point, and it's a bummer. One thing that really sucks about the fact that we can't go into work right now is like so much of my job is just like keeping my eyes and ears open, like
Exactly.
I can see the practice fields from my desk, and like without even having to talk to anybody, I can go to work and be like, oh, Connor's Connor graduated to doing cuts today. Like, Connor's doing, he's doing more heavy lifting, or oh, look, which obviously this hasn't been the case, but I might be like, oh, wow, Dak is here. That's interesting since he's in the middle of a contract negotiation. So I haven't gotten any of that this year. I've heard, it seems like he's on track according to what I've heard. But that's a really good point that, assuming the rules are the same, it wouldn't be a surprise if he started on PUP list. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
What's up, Bobby? What's up, Brian?
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Before we leave offense, we have one of our fans had a question for you. He wanted to know, out of the draft class, who was your pet cat?
Okay. Like CD doesn't count.
Everybody's answer.
Everybody loves CD. Everybody's excited about that. And I think, it's people probably get tired of hearing. Like the other obvious one is Bradley and I, because there's no way anybody thought he would be there. You know, we were talking about him as like a 3rd or 4th round pick. So, and now I've named like half the class, but I guess
is that good of a draft?
if I can't have either one of those two, then I'll say Tyler Biadasz. And I know, like, I don't expect him to be the day one starter at all, but you know, he's a Remington Award winner. He came from a program that obviously produces great offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And, you know, he took a step back last year, but I think a lot of that was injury related. And the Cowboys and Tyler have all already said, like, he's full go. He's feeling 100% healthy. So if he gets back to playing the way that he did more in 2018, then that could be a really big steal. And like I said, maybe he's not the day one starter, but he could be your starter, you know, for the foreseeable future. And, you know, to get that at the end of the 4th round would be huge.
That would be awesome.
And I won my heart the moment I seen the clip of him throwing that dude in the 360 onto the ground.
I mean, like the guy can definitely play. There's no doubt about that.
Oh,
yeah. For all you guys who are joining us, we've been talking about the 53-man roster we've done the past 6 weeks. We just finished up offense, and now we're about to move on to defense. So make sure you guys share this podcast, share it to your personal page, and share it to your favorite group. And be sure to keep giving us those comments. We appreciate it. All right, Lambo, you got anything else on offense you want to circle back?
I'm good, man.
Okay, all right.
Good.
So now we'll move over to the defensive side, where I'm sure the comment board will head up.
Yeah, here we go.
So start off with defensive tackle. You said you thought 5 was kind of heavy. So of these 5, who's the guy you think would be the guy that's cut?
I mean, you know what my answer is going to be.
Trade Tristan Hill to the Raiders. That's going to happen.
For what? A bag of potato chips? I mean,
that's true. I didn't think that far ahead.
I mean, maybe theoretically. Actually, this is ridiculous. I mean, this sounds crazy, but like, I wonder if Rod would even want him at this point. Which, you know, it's early. There's a lot to consider here. For you know, the first 3 spots are guaranteed, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Antoine Woods is really interesting because, like, he was tendered. He's an exclusive rights free agent. He was tendered. As far as I'm aware, I don't even know if he's signed it.
He has not.
But then, you know, you go on Twitter and he's doing workouts with Alden Smith and Gerald McCoy and all these guys. I'm like, okay, well, it sure seems like Antoine is planning on being part of the team, but the team hasn't announced anything about him signing, or so. Like, I don't know what 100% going on there.
I'm sure feeling a little uneasy about that too.
Yeah, and then
rumor
and then there's, you know, Tristan Hill, who deeply disappointing rookie season, and the coaching staff that drafted him is gone. So there's not much in the way of guarantees. And then another thing I think you got to consider is, I mean, Tyrone Crawford is a defensive end. Don't get me wrong. He has, like, transformed his body. I expect him to primarily be a defensive end, but he can move inside. So when you think about things like nickel packages, or if they want him to play a little bit of 3-4 defensive end, which is more of like an interior position, he could probably do that too. So that goes back to the whole point of, like, well, if you've got a bit of a hybrid guy, maybe you can get away with going light at defensive tackle because of that. So, yeah, I did say 5 was heavy, but I'm not 100% sure who I would take off that list. But if I had to, I would say Hill.
My concern is, like you said, Woods hasn't signed his exclusive rights tender. So if he's not there, who's another one technique? I don't like Tristan as a one, really. But
I think
we have to have someone there.
Yeah, and I mean Neville can do it. Neville played one in college, but then you don't feel great about the depth because you need a guy. So yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, and that's I mean, the Woods thing is so strange to me because honestly, like, when McCarthy came on, like one of the big things we kept hearing was like, well, they want bigger defensive tackles, and then they go out and get Poe and McCoy. So it was like, okay, yeah, for sure. So I didn't think that they were even going to tender Antoine because he's not a very big guy by defensive tackle standards.
Yeah.
But then they did tender him, but he still hasn't signed it. So like the whole thing is very weird.
Yeah.
Hopefully when practices start, we can get some clarity on that.
Right. Yeah, we did a full episode about Antoine Wood's situation, and we still kind of where we are right now.
It's one of those things where like in a regular year, we definitely would have gotten the answer to it by now. But number one, nobody associated with the Cowboys has spoken publicly since like the draft. Like we typically at like OTAs and mini camp, like you get to talk to the coach every day and yada yada. So there's that, and then on top of that, it's a global pandemic. So Antoine Woods' future kind of slips through the cracks of all the other things we got to worry about.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah. So now we go to defensive end.
Spicy.
This is where it got tricky for both of us. We have 7 guys listed here, but we only have 6 technically. Let's just ask the question everybody wants to know.
What's up with Randy?
Do you know anything about Randy Gregory?
No. I know that I have never encountered a weirder situation in terms of somebody that so many people are interested in knowing about has so few details. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because Randy has had these high profile problems for his entire NFL career. It's clearly an issue that he's struggled with. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know if embarrassing is the word that I would want to use, but if it was me, I don't want all my dirty laundry out in the public like that, especially if I'm trying to get reinstated by the NFL. So Randy and his crew, I think, are trying to protect what's being talked about him. And then the NFL is notorious for being an iron curtain. I mean, nobody knows how they come to the conclusions that they do. It's really weird and frustrating that, he started the reinstatement process well before Aldon Smith, and we still haven't heard anything about it. But I also know, I guess it was like a week or so ago, there was a report that like the Cowboys had given up all hope on Randy, and then but that report was like immediately backtracked, and it was like, well, maybe that's not the case. The Cowboys still have hope. So, like I said, like the only thing that I know is that nobody knows. But I will say, in terms of putting together a roster, I can't count on him. You know what I mean? Like, I can't justify even putting him on the list because I just don't know what's going to happen. And if he gets reinstated and his life is together, first, I always feel like I need to clarify, like, I'm rooting so hard for that guy. I hope, I want nothing I want nothing but the best for him. But I just view it as if he gets reinstated and everything's going well for him, we can find a guy to cut to get him on the team. Like that's not a problem. But until then, I can't even assume it's a possibility right now.
Okay. Now, here's my question, because this is where I struggle. I don't think we would keep 7 defensive ends.
It does seem like a lot.
If it happens and the sky opens up and Gregory comes back in a week and he shows us glimpses of 2018, who's the end we cut?
On the guys that are on your list right now, Rondell Carter, and Dorrance Armstrong jumps off the list at me as well. It kind of goes back to the point of like, you watch these guys and talk about these guys so much, like you wind up falling in love with their potential. But we haven't even seen Rondell Carter rush the passer. It's very. And again, like it's not my intention to like disrespect these guys, but like we can go back year by year. Last year it was Daniel Wise.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, not the year before. Who was the English guy that everybody was in love with? F.A. Obata.
Yeah.
which I know that he went on to, have some success with Carolina, but he wasn't ready to be on the team when the Cowboys had him.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's always a guy, or, on a name that I don't see on here who I think has a good shot to make it is Joe Jackson.
Wow.
But,
Joe, yeah.
But having said that, I mean, Joe Jackson was a healthy scratch 9 times last year. So, if Randy Gregory is ready to go and available, you can always find a guy and make room for sure.
I will say I'm a little optimistic about Durant Armstrong this year, but it's kind of the reason I feel that way is because it's his 3rd year, and you like to think that 3rd year is the year it really kicks into gear.
I mean, that's people around the Cowboys love to say that too, because it was a big Bill Parcells thing. Like Bill Parcells loved saying that, is like by the 3rd year, you know what you have.
Yeah,
and like I keep saying, like I don't want to write that possibility off, but to this point in his career, I haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh my God, we can't cut Dorrance. Like, no way. I mean, like we absolutely can if we need to for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess I'm higher on Dorrance than most people. The few snaps I saw, I hate to say this, I saw a lot of almost sacks. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
I mean, it's better than not an almost sack.
Right. I mean,
Right.
He's pretty active to me when I saw him play. And I feel like with a few more opportunities, he could take another step. It's not like he showed me anything bad.
I don't disagree with you at all. I keep saying it's not my intention to say that this guy's got no chance. But, when you have these conversations, you kind of got to break it down into really black and white terms, which is, show me something basically.
Right. So you talked about Joe Jackson. The reason I didn't put Joe Jackson on the list, I don't know about Lambeau. I felt like him and Alden Smith could kind of be considered the same guy. And I think Jim Tomsula really likes Alden Smith, and he's going to be given every opportunity to make this team. And I feel like Alden Smith can be kind of an inside, outside, versatile guy, and then you already got Crawford. So that's 2 versatile guys you have, and Joe Jackson's just a 3rd versatile guy to me.
I don't disagree. Joe Jackson, it kind of reminds me of, I mean, this sounds weird, but it kind of reminds me of what we were saying about Noah Brown, which is like, I don't think of Joe Jackson as like this crazy, bendy, athletic guy, but maybe he's more like a Tyrone Crawford in the sense that he's a big, strong dude who can hold up well at the point. And, maybe he'll never be a sack artist, but like you need those guys too. Like you need the guys that can do the dirty work and string the plays out and open tackles up for the other defenders to make plays. So I think of him as that type of guy. Whereas like Alden Smith is here to rush the passer, and if he's on the team, same thing with Randy Gregory. So that's kind of my thought process about it.
What was the over and under we had, Marcus, on Alden? Was it 5.5?
I don't think it was that high.
Or 5 or 4.5 something.
Yeah.
We had an over and under. I was curious. I was going to ask David, but I can't remember what it was.
I think whatever it was, we both took the under. It may have been 5.5.
Yeah. True.
Okay, let's kind of talk about safety and corner together. Just because you mentioned you thought 10 was kind of a lot, and I like all the names on this list.
No, I don't disagree with you.
And there's another name on there that I really like just for special teams, and that's CJ Godwin. But I couldn't fit him on here. If you were to say we were going down to 9 defensive backs, who's the guy you leave off?
First of all, I will throw this out there, and I'm not taking a shot at you because I get that this is difficult.
Yeah,
I feel very comfortable saying right now, like CJ Goodwin will be on the team.
Okay,
he'll be on the team, and that's like, again, it's not sexy, but that dude is a beast of a gunner. Like he is an absolute monster. You see it every week. He single-handedly will, stop a return with just awesome tackle. So I think he's on the team purely as like the 6th cornerback with like no real intention of ever playing him on defense.
Right.
But Oh man, can I say something that's going to piss people off?
You're
is
gonna say exactly what I said.
it J. Lou? Is it? Oh,
Uh-huh.
Say it.
If I had to cut this list down to 9, I'd probably take off Donovan Wilson.
oh, I thought he was going to
Did
say
not
something.
expect that.
That's the guy that I want to see get more playing time.
And that's why it's going to piss people off. And for the millionth time,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk shit on Donovan Wilson. Like, I think he's got a lot of potential. He's a hard hitter. He obviously showed his ball skills. But again, at the same time, coaches lean toward, experience and proving it in the NFL. Darian Thompson is another guy that I feel very good about his chances to make the team because he's a smart, instinctive veteran who's done it on defense and also can be very versatile for you on special teams. So I feel really good about him making it. And then you look at that list of cornerbacks and you say, oh, I don't really want to cut any of these guys. And Daryl Worley can play some safety if we need him to. So that's kind of my thought process. Where if you're really in a numbers crunch, and hopefully he grows in year 2 and makes a leap. But again, Donovan Wilson was a guy that didn't see a lot of action last year. So,
I mean, it makes sense.
It's definitely possible, but at the end, the secondary is such a nightmare because honestly, who knows? I really don't know what. All I really know is that Clinton Dix is going to start. I think that's the only thing I can say for sure about the entire secondary.
I agree.
Me and Marcus have a pretty wild, crazy theory on a player that kind of got us a little bit of hate.
Okay.
You want to tell them a little bit about that, Marcus?
I'll let you say it.
Oh, come on. You make me say it. Jay, we felt like there is a crazy chance that Jordan Lewis could be a trade candidate.
I don't think that's crazy at all, and I understand why it would get you hate.
We just think, we think Anthony Brown will get that third spot over him.
Absolutely. Anthony Brown just signed on for $5 million a year, so it's hard to imagine that he's going anywhere. And if
a few tweets later, and
but and on top, if you go through training camp and you really feel strongly that Jordan is not one of your starting 3, we already know, Al Harris favors long cornerbacks. He said it himself. So if you really don't feel like Jordan's one of your starting 3 and you could get something for him, I don't think that's crazy at all. And I am a huge Jordan Lewis fan. He's one of my favorite guys on the roster as a person. I think he's a baller too. But
we like him.
I can't rule that possibility out, especially if guys like, if a guy like Reggie Robinson and or Daryl Worley really comes on and looks impressive, all of a sudden you say, we can probably get by without Jordan if we need to. Yeah. I don't think he would be cut, though. I think it would have to be like a Robinson. It would be like a cut trade.
Definitely.
Yeah. But, honestly, the secondary is fascinating because, I can come up, Cheeto, AB, and Jordan all have a very good to decent chance to start, right? We would agree with that. But then you spent a top 50 pick on Trayvon Diggs, so he's good enough that he might have a chance. And Daryl Worley's actually started a lot of games in the NFL as well.
Pretty good too.
So that's 5 dudes who are probably good enough to start. And again, if this was an established coaching staff, we might have a better idea of how to read it. But
exactly, it's all open, man.
It's all open. It's a clean slate for everybody. And on top, I always say this too, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jordan start because Al Harris could say, "Well, look, he's clearly better than what we have, and we can draft and fix this in the future. And maybe Jordan doesn't have a long-term future here because he's not the type of cornerback that I like, but we need him starting if we're going to win games in 2020. So I really think anything is possible. The only thing I really feel confident about is that I assume AB will be one of the 3 starters. and that's just following the money. Like, you don't pay a guy $15 million to sit on the bench.
We both agree.
Zach, thoughts?
Yeah. And the reason we kind of said Jordan Lewis getting traded, we talked a little bit about the tweets. If he's your fourth corner and he feels disrespected for a third straight year, he's gonna go full Jamal.
I think he's gonna say something about it, and I think he'd get a little hairy.
I don't think you're wrong, but I will say, like, as outspoken as Jordan is on Twitter, and y'all feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it. Like, he doesn't talk trash about the Cowboys very often, though. Like, he talks about other stuff.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really fit with what I know about him to this point. But having said that, I mean, you know, we interviewed Jordan back in the spring, and he's, you know, the coaching staff said it's a clean slate for everybody. Yeah. Just go out there and show us what you can do. So to your point, I mean, if he feels like he got the short end of the stick for a fourth year in a row, yeah, maybe he won't be able to handle that very well. Yeah.
Like, and we like him, but
love him.
Yeah, we do like him.
Everybody that follows the Cowboys likes Jordan. And I think that's part of the, like, why it's such a passionate topic, is because, like, you want to see a guy like that succeed.
I like passionate players like him.
Absolutely.
Guys with that kind of attitude on the field, and I really like those kind of guys.
All right, we're getting down to the very last position. I know we got to let you go. This is another position we both feel like is kind of set with what it is. Lambo and I both really like Francis Bernard in terms of coverability. Do you think he could take over one of those last two spots and possibly make the roster? Or do you think Gifford and March are just too good at what they do? March, special teams specifically.
You never want to speak in absolutes, obviously, but, like, it would surprise me. And, you know, it's the same reason as before, is like, these guys didn't have an off season. None of these rookies have done anything other than, you know, sit on some Zoom calls. So, and I mean, Justin March, I think if my memory serves me correctly, this coaching staff re-signed him.
They did. You're right.
So, you know, this isn't like he's a holdover from the Jason Garrett era. Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan sat down and watched his tape and said, we would like to have him back. So that seems like it would say a lot. And then obviously we all know that Luke Gifford was very impressive as an undrafted guy. And I think
potential.
Yeah, for sure. And the top four are set in stone, obviously. Definitely. Like, that's done. So, yeah, I mean, I think I feel very confident that this would be the six. But like I said, you never want to rule anything out.
Now let's just hope that Leighton is good for the year. His neck, no issues. I want to see him crack somebody a few times, and then 3-4 games in, still be roaring, man. And I'll be happy with that point.
It got to a fever pitch back in the pre-draft process because they talked to Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray. But, I mean, Leighton says he's fine. And I lost count of how many people in the Cowboys organization say he's fine as well, which, I mean, neck and back injuries are weird because you can never totally trust them. So,
yeah.
But as it stands right now, I expect him to be like 100% ready to go when they play football again. So that's all you can ask for after, you know, what he had to go through.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Before we let you go, one last thing we have, and this is just the practice squad. Just take a look at it real quick.
Oh, wow. Y'all are thorough, man. Goodness gracious.
We have a lot of free time on our hands, obviously. We don't have to go through all the names. Is there anybody that kind of stands out from this listing that you say? We talked about CJ Goodwin. We talked a little bit about the receivers.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that you think would have a good shot of possibly, if we keep 4 defensive tackles, like you said, who would one of these guys be that come up?
Wow. Oh, my dude. There are names that I forget about.
I want Garrett Marino, man. I like him.
I love Garrett Marino. I don't think he has a shot.
I really don't. I don't think you can rule out Ventel Bryant. Again, because of what he does for you other than play wide receiver. And the fact, I mean, he was arrested, if I'm not mistaken, and they didn't cut him, which they clearly like him, I would imagine. We talked about Joe Jackson. Jalen Jelks is another one.
Yeah.
We didn't get to really see him last year because he got hurt. But again, like that's a guy whose his body type gives him a lot of flexibility. Like if they want to do some 3-4 stuff, he could probably play as a 3-4-5 technique, which that's a body type that they really don't have a lot of on this roster. So that's something that I would watch. I feel ever since he's been on the team, people just write Jordan Chun off. Like nobody wants to ever talk about Jordan Chun,
including me.
and I mean that's fine. The last coaching staff absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
So we'll see what these guys think of him. I've heard Maurice Kennedy was signed in the spring mainly because of what he can do on special teams as well.
Right.
So that's something that I wouldn't rule out.
Well, you talked about a guy, and I know you could go through this whole list and talk. If you look at our practice squad list, all of the guys that we have on the list are basically new drafted and undrafted guys.
Which that's totally understandable. I mean, it's usually first and second year players are usually the guys that make up your practice squad. So
if there was, you talked about a list of guys. If there was one or two guys off our practice squad list that you think would get kicked out for Joe Jackson or Jalen Jelks, who do you think those guys would be?
I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, I know the names because they're on the team, but like there's a few of these guys, like I don't know their game like intimately. You know what I mean? I know, like I said, I know that they really like Sean McCown. I'm not sold on Chris Westry, to be really honest with you. I know, he's very intriguing to people because he's so big, like
size and speed.
Anytime you see a 6'3.5" cornerback, like people start thinking about like Sherman and Brandon Browner. I'm not convinced. So that's a name that jumps out to me. I already at the top of the show, I already talked about Shaywell. He's awesome in my I'm so excited to watch him do some stuff. So that's about it though. I don't have like deep takes on a lot of these guys.
Well, let me ask you this specifically, because when we put the list together, one thing that stood out to us was we had 3 wide receivers on the practice squad, and we thought that was too many. So out of the 3 undrafted guys, which one of those, Aaron Parker, Stephen Guidry, Kendrick Rogers, which one do you think would be kind of at the bottom of the totem pole of those 3?
First of all, I don't think 3 is too many, to be honest with you. And I've talked about this with coaches before. Coaches love having receivers and DBs on the practice squad because you need guys that can run. And then literally, I don't mean like fast. I literally mean just like to get through practice. Like you need, you think about how many routes you run in a practice and how quickly you want things going. Like you need guys that can just go in and go out. Like, hey, this guy's winded or twisted his ankle. Like get in there so we don't have to wait. That type of thing. So, and then think about, hopefully it doesn't happen this year, but Amari was limited at practice like most of last season. So again, you need bodies. Rodgers is the name. Like he's probably the most intriguing because he came from the biggest school. Yeah. But it's also the most puzzling because like you would have liked to have seen more production from him. So like
definitely.
And again, like I hate to like judge these guys before they even do anything, but it makes you wonder if like, he's going to be the guy that everybody talks about who ultimately doesn't make the cut. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Dave. We held you a lot longer than I know you're probably playing for.
No, man. I told you I don't have anywhere to be. I'm just chilling. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate all this time that you gave us.
No problem, man.
Yeah, thanks
for
a ton,
anybody that's watching, make sure that you go follow him on Twitter and on Instagram. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. He gives a lot of great information. He knows a lot about the team. I tell people this all the time. When I'm looking for player analysis, is you, Kyle Yeomans, Brian Broaddus. You guys
thanks, man.
I respect more than anybody when it comes to talking about this thing.
That means a lot to me because half the time I think I'm just acting like an idiot when I get on Twitter. So I really appreciate it. I always it sounds cheesy, but like my favorite thing about this job is getting to, help people cover their favorite team. I love bringing that to y'all. And, hopefully I can be out on the field this month taking videos like I always do and helping y'all watch these guys. So like I said, hopefully that comes to pass, but I guess we'll see what happens.
We look forward to it and definitely hope that does happen sooner than later.
I know we all need football in a bad way.
Really bad, man.
All right, Dave. Again, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll continue to follow you on social media. Brandon, you got anything to say before we let Dave go?
Yeah, just backing up what Marcus said, we really appreciate it. You're someone we follow, very heavily, and man, we look forward to all that you bring here in the near future.
Absolutely, y'all. It was a blast being on. I really had fun, and y'all take care and have a good night.
Thanks,
all right.
man.
Thanks,
have a good one.
Later.
Man, too much information. That was awesome.
Sup, Phillip? You just missed it, bro. You're gonna have to go back and replay. We had Mr. David Helman on. Did a 53-man roster breakdown.
Yeah. We thought we were gonna get 35 minutes with him. He gave us an hour and 5 minutes. So that's awesome. And it was all great information. Like, if you didn't get a chance to catch this from the beginning, make sure you go back and watch it because he gave us a lot of great details. He gave us information about players that we didn't even know or consider.
Yeah, Dallas Super Bowl number 6. That's my thought. Is I would like to see Sewu over Alawali.
Yeah, we had a lot of good comments in the comment box, Lambo. If you got a few minutes, we can go through a couple of them, kind of keep the discussion going.
Yeah, I got a few. I got 10, 15.
15 max. Okay.
Yeah, the newborn's not crying right now. So.
Okay. Let me go back up a little bit. Taiwan, again, one of the guys that follows us heavily. We talked about wide receivers. He thinks Ventrell Bryant makes the team. I think it really does come down to him and Noah.
I think it comes down to having a 6th receiver or not if he makes it.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think if there's 5 he cracks it, but
I can't disagree with that.
Just personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with that at all. So let me ask you this then, Lambo. Dave kind of talked about 5 D tackles is too heavy. Would you rather keep a Ventrell Bryant or Tristan Hill?
Tristan Hill.
Okay.
And I'm not big on Tristan Hill, and I said that. So I just so everybody doesn't think I'm riding on Tristan Hill. I'm actually not high on him at all, and I've been upset ever since we drafted him. But those receivers of Bryant's caliber play come a dime a dozen, in my opinion. I just feel like the potential's higher with a guy like Tristan Hill, and we only seen one season.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, and there's guys that I like better than Bryant that are going to be on our practice squad, in my opinion, like Parker and Guidry and Rogers and guys that I think that could come up and do what he does.
Yeah.
Guys I think we can cut that'll clear waivers and still be there if we need to pull them up. Tristan Hill, I'm not huge on him, but I just like, I guess, what the potential's – I still feel like the potential's there. I won't be completely out on him.
All right.
Until it would take 3 years of pure suckage. And after 2, I may, if he does horrible this year, I may kind of make that call in my own mind. But yeah, I'd rather keep Hill over him.
I didn't get a chance. Welcome Dallas Super Bowl 6 and Teflon Breed. I didn't get a chance to welcome you guys in. Yeah, Teflon actually put a question up. We talked about it. He asked, do we think Rondell Carter makes the squad? Now,
I think he makes the practice squad.
I don't know if you came in late, but right now we have him on the 53. But he would definitely at least make the practice squad. We kind of got him if Randy Gregory gets cleared and he actually makes training camp, Rondale's the guy to go to the practice squad. But if something happens and Gregory doesn't get reinstated, we think he's the sixth defensive end to be on the team. So it's really dependent on what happens with Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dallas Super Bowl 6 came in with another comment.
I think he can be. I'd like him to be. His versatility.
Yeah.
Does he bring as much on special teams?
Yeah.
As Alawali, though.
Yeah. So and Dave pointed something else out. This coaching staff actually re-signed Olawale. So that tells you they value the fullback and they value him for whatever traits they think he has.
Fullback did. I could be wrong. Correct me, but under McCarthy, there was some good fullback play. I think if I remember Kuhn.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kuhn is still a major piece of that offense.
Yeah. So be interesting to see if he kind of brings a little bit of that with him. I get destroyed because I like Dak. So do me and Mark. Well, I don't know. We try to think of it as we do to the destroying to the non-believers.
Exactly.
We try to destroy them with the facts.
Right.
And then once you hear them say you don't meet their eye test, you know you already won and you can stop commenting back.
Yep. You know you got them. And what's up, Philip Mullins? Thank you for joining us. Jeff, appreciate you joining us. I know you had some stuff to do today. We're glad you came in at the back end and kind of join us in the conversation. I see a lot of you guys came in around 8 o'clock. That was right on the tail end of Dave Helman. So make sure you guys go back and rewatch this because he gave us a lot of information.
And if a lot of y'all are used to us starting at 8 Central and 9 Eastern. So I can't blame y'all for showing up a little hour late. We had to do a show an hour early for David tonight than we normally do. We usually do 9 Eastern, 8 Central, but we went at 7 Central.
Yeah,
tonight,
you have a guy like Dave Helman who says he's going to come on here and talk about it.
What time you want?
What time you want? We'll make it happen.
So
Ryan Rogers is a new name. What's up, Ryan? Appreciate you joining us. I see you got a comment talking about the staff going wide receiver heavy. I kind of disagree with that, and I think we've kind of both talked about it. Our top three
are just so good.
Yeah, they're just great. So when you got three guys that good, you don't really have to go heavy because there's not going to be anything left for guy number 6 or 7 if you go that deep.
And our thing is like, thanks, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. The congratulations for the baby. Appreciate it. But yeah, our thing is the top 3 guys, they're just so good. It's ridiculous. And then 4 and 5 could be a Devin Smith and a Cedric Wilson, or, maybe a Noah Brown in the 5th spot. We'll see. But we feel like whoever we could put in on a 6th spot, if we carried a 6th spot, we feel like that same caliber receiver could clear waivers and be on the practice squad to pull up at any time if we really needed them.
Yeah.
So that's basically where we stand on that.
Right.
So we think that same caliber guy can make it through waivers, and we could always bring him up if we did need to bring another guy up.
And on top of that, we talked about this too, Lambo. For special teams purposes, if I need a guy for special teams, I would rather have a 6th cornerback or a 6th linebacker than a 6th receiver, because I know a linebacker and a cornerback can hit and tackle.
Not only that, the injury concerns we have in our linebacking core.
Yeah,
we have some injury concerns for sure. And that's definitely a position I would prefer to go more heavy on.
Yeah.
We doing the call-in line?
I can put it up if you want to. Somebody wants to call in?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll put the number up if somebody wants to call in. We can try it out.
So maybe take one before we hop off and stuff.
So there's the number if anybody wants to try. I got it pulled up. Hopefully it'll let you go through. If you try to call in and you can't get through, let me know so I can try to work on some things. I see Philip Mullins put a comment up. He says Olawale is a wasted spot. Very little skill position value. We could utilize the spot better. I mean, I agree with you. I think Lambo and I both agree.
We're still mad he didn't catch that pass.
Don't even get me started on that.
Let me short arm this real quick. It's easy touchdown grab.
Right. But I think we will both agree we would rather see Sawo get that spot than Olawale because we feel like he can give you more in the running game and the passing game.
Exactly. He's just got so much more of a versatility. Yeah. I hope that's what happens. At least we'll see. That's what I'm hoping. Man, I was going to say something else, but it slipped my mind. Maybe it'll come back in a second.
But go ahead.
This is just off topic, but just another good laughing point. Washington football team.
Right.
Let's go football team. Which one? The football team.
That's almost like the third name here.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
That's funny.
Boy, when you think about all the stuff we go through as Dallas fans, one thing we can say is glad I'm not a Redskins fan.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough for them. I mean, I got friends. Like I said, I grew up in Virginia Beach, Norfolk area, so it's kind of Skins territory out there. It's only like 50 minutes from where Redskins practice, from where the football team practices. Politically incorrect.
That's a good name.
I grew up really close to where that football team practices, and I know a lot of people that cheer for that football team and or cheer for the football team. And yeah, I don't know, man. I guess they could buy a lot of generic gear that says "Go Team Go" on it now. And
yes,
I got some upset friends back home, but it's funny. I feel for them though, because I couldn't imagine having all that gear. As much like stuff as I buy of Cowboys and things like that, and all the jerseys I got, I couldn't imagine just all of it just being thrown aside. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Ryan Rogers put a comment up here. This was when we were talking about Tristan Hill. Saying that Marinelli give us a 6. But like Dave said, does Marinelli even want him?
Does he even want him?
Yeah. That pisses me off.
If he doesn't want him, that pisses me off even more because they pretty much let Marinelli have that pick. Like he pretty much talked them into that pick, and now he don't even want him.
Yeah,
screw us and leave us with them.
Yeah, that would be terrible. We use a second-round pick on a guy, and then the coach that eat the table for him won't even take him for scraps. All right, guys. Let's get a couple more questions in here.
Yeah,
somebody wants to make a phone call. Let's get it in. If you didn't hear it before, we just had Dave Helman on. We went through the full 53-man roster. I'll pull it up again really quick, just so you guys can take a look at it. For you guys that came in late, we won't go into a lot of detail about what we said because we want you to go back and watch the whole thing. So I got to change this. So one thing we did is on offense, we kept 23, which normally offense keeps a little bit less than defense. And also, we just got so many spots that are secured on offense and so many questions on defense, you almost have to go deep there. Put a phone line thing down. So basically, David Helman kind of agreed with us for the most part on everything we said. Oh,
I didn't see that.
You didn't see what? Oh,
sorry, I was in the comments.
Let me put your comment up.
I mean, I ain't against that. I ain't against it. And they can't even give Tony Pollard carries. How are they going to give a receiver carries?
I did read that too, but I kind of glanced over it.
I wouldn't be against it. I mean, give that man the ball. Yeah. He's a run after catch king. We know that, so that would be awesome.
When I hear that, I just think they're going to give him speed options.
Yeah.
And reverses. So I hopefully they do some stuff with him to utilize him like you said. He's a yak guy or run after the catch guy. Was there anybody on this list that Dave disagreed with us on? I don't remember anybody specific.
He was a borderline on Denichi, but he was kind of borderline. But he did acknowledge it was a McCarthy guy. He wouldn't have been brought in if it wasn't for McCarthy. The relationship he also has with his son and all that stuff, which we didn't talk about that. But and he
said
also
he's like Sean McCown. He like fourth tight end.
Is it McCown or McKeon? I feel like it was McKeon.
It might be McKeon.
Keon. I don't know. Me and Marcus don't feel like I was referring to Teflon Breed's comment. I don't feel like Denichi. I don't feel like they would risk him through waivers after using a draft pick on him, and McCarthy actually beating the table to take that pick, and his history developing young quarterbacks.
Right.
I don't think they would have used the actual pick, even though it was a seventh. I don't think they would have used that pick with McCarthy having a actual personal relationship with the dude to risk losing him.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we think we keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53.
And speaking of that, Dave did give us this little nugget about the draft strategy. He said that if McCarthy didn't take Ben DiNucci, that the team really liked Sean McKeon, the tight end from Michigan. So if we didn't take a quarterback, there was kind of a consensus that they may have gone with Sean McKeon as the 4th tight end. So that's the guy we can try to watch in
watch in that 3rd spot.
Yeah. He didn't get a lot of catches at Michigan. I think he only had like 25 catches for his career.
But, I was really surprised on his take of Donovan Wilson, but after he explained it, it made some sense. It did make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of those guys that we would get rid of, and then he would end up like, was it Travarius Ward? Or some guys like that to go to another team and want to do something. That'd be the same situation, I bet.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second when I put the defensive side up. So Mark Shiflett, looks like a new name. So Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
He says we think he'll let McCarthy coach kind of like Jimmy Johnson did.
Most people probably don't think so, but this is just a gut thing. I don't have any reason to feel this way. In my gut, I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen with this McCarthy hiring. Yeah. For some reason, I just feel like the way the draft went seemed different. It felt like they weren't, the Joneses weren't, or Jerry wasn't really as involved. I mean, I'm sure he was crazy involved, but something that just felt different. Everybody talked about how different the draft felt because every year we see the Taco over TJ Watt type pick, or we see at least at some point in the draft, we may nail one, but then the second round comes and then you got the Tristan, or like we did with the Tristan Hill pick, when Juan Thornhill and among others was on the board. We always see those picks, but just something just felt different about the way they stuck to best player available. They took Lamb, even though it wasn't the biggest need.
Yeah.
And it just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. And it seemed like they just really stuck to BPA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like that was like a slight sign of things to come as far as this being a new way to do things again.
Now, one thing I will say to your point, Lambo, nobody will ever coach like Jimmy Johnson did, because there was a different era of football.
Yeah.
And a different era of players. Back then, outside of Troy, Mike, and Emmett, and maybe 1 or 2 offensive linemen, everybody had to earn their spot on the team. From player 10 to player 60. You could rotate them in and out left and right because there was no free agency and there was no big dollar amounts. The way the NFL is set up right now, you may have 40 players on your team that even if you hate them, it would destroy your team financially to cut them. And the players know that.
Yeah.
So he may have autonomous control, but it's only to a certain extent because the players financially have so much control over what they do and how they are on the team.
Very good point. And on the topic of Jimmy Johnson, for anybody that's kind of just started watching the shows recently and missed some of the past ones, if you'd like some actual insight, good insight on Jimmy Johnson and the way he coaches and what players think of him, things like that, go back and find our episode we did with George Teague. We have an episode with George Teague we did. Also, Kenny the Shark Gant.
Yeah.
And they really gave some good inside locker room type information. And I believe we talked about Jimmy Johnson a little bit with both of them.
We did.
And a lot of other inside stories. I'm talking about stories. I think we brought up stories of Haley and Avery, all kinds of inside stuff. I mean, George Teague gave us the story about when he went off the field getting ejected after hitting TO. Yeah. And everybody forgets Darren Woodson was ejected shortly before that. So he gets to the locker room and runs into Darren Woodson, and Darren Woodson's still back there mad. Teague's back there mad. And they had a whole little conversation and things like that nobody even knows went down. I mean, there's some good stuff on those episodes. So go back and watch those.
He tells a couple of Deion Sanders stories too.
Yeah, some good stuff, man. Real good stuff.
All right. We're about to wrap this up in about 5 minutes or so. If you guys have any more questions, be sure to get them in before we leave. Talking about the defense, we put 5 defensive tackles up, and we kind of talked about the reason why. Again, make sure you guys go back and watch it and find out. But we all kind of agree, if we were to go a little thin at defensive tackle, Christian Hill will probably be the guy to go.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
We
didn't really talk about what position we would fill it with, but we all felt like that would be kind of a guy to watch. Defensive end, Dave works for the Cowboys, and he has no more news about Randy Gregory than anybody else has.
Yeah.
So we all just we got to be all wait and see on that one. If something happens and Gregory is reinstated, I was shocked to hear that he said he thought Dorrance Armstrong may be a guy that you look at letting go.
I know, because that's one of the ones that I'm hoping to see a big step up from.
Yeah, like
we'll see how that goes. But
I almost thought he'd be kind of penciled in as a rotation right in, him and Crawford.
Yeah.
Moses, thanks for joining us.
Nobody knows. Sadly.
You probably missed it, but we just had Dave Helman on, who's a staff writer for DallasCowboys.com. His office literally sits over the practice field, so he gets a lot of insight on players and things like that. He has no information about this, so nobody really knows where we are with the Randy Gregory situation.
Unfortunately, it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
if he wasn't a Cowboy, he'd be back in the league right now, in my opinion.
Don't we know it?
Yeah, I mean, Goodell, he likes it. He suspends our players when they don't even do anything for 6 games. So
for sure. Linebacker, there's nothing to see here. We all kind of agree. Our 6 guys are going to be our 6 guys.
Yeah.
As much
I just hope Bernard makes it to the practice squad. Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
Please let him get back to the practice squad. I like Bernard.
Yeah. I think that's another good thing about what's going on right now. I think a lot of teams won't get a chance to evaluate their own guys. So if they took the time to sign or draft a guy, I think they'd rather see their guy than try to pick up somebody else's guy.
That's very true. And in the no preseason, they're not going to really we're going to get to see how good he looks in camp. But these other teams ain't going to know how good Bernard did in camp. They're not going to get to see him in preseason, so there ain't nothing really there. So it's going to be much easier probably to get some people through waivers.
Exactly.
Than normal case scenarios.
Yeah, because we're not even going to probably be able to do intra-squad practices because they're not letting travel happen. So
yeah,
all of our information is going to be locked in the locker rooms. So that'll hopefully help us.
We got some really good player evaluators. And shown to find a lot of good undrafted gems, so that might bode well in our favor.
Yeah,
getting some guys back to the practice squad that we know could be special in a couple of years.
Now, before we go, the last spot we kind of talked about corner and safety together, and I was very shocked, and I know Lambo was too. Dave Helman said he wouldn't be shocked to see Donovan Wilson not make this 53-man roster. Still speechless. Like you said.
Yeah. I mean, if you told me to choose between him and Thompson, I was gonna say I would take Wilson's potential over Thompson's so-so play.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see. Maybe I think it is easy to fall into the trap of what someone's done during preseason. That might be why a lot of us hold on to Wilson so much, because he made those ball hawking plays. But when you don't see those plays in the safety position on your team for so many years, and you see him do that in preseason, can we see him on the field some more? Just let us see what he's got, man. Let him prove us wrong or something, and then take him off. But
exactly. But yeah, Taiwan. if we go with two quarterbacks, I wouldn't be shocked. But the fact that our coach, who's a quarterback guy, used his pick to draft a quarterback, it's just hard to believe he's going to take a chance of losing them.
Yeah.
That's almost like his pet cat.
His son played ball with the dude. Like, they're friends.
Right.
And that was no coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a lot of history and done a lot of homework on the guy. So I feel like that's kind of like,
I would say, go watch Danichi's release throwing the ball on some of those workout videos and stuff. He's got a killer release. He's got a beautiful throwing motion.
Yeah. Taiwan brings up a good point. He talked about our DB coach as Wilson's college coach. That's a good point.
Oh, that is right. I know I've seen that somewhere before now that you bring that up.
But the head coach's pick trumps the defensive back's pick.
Yeah.
So if something happened and it came down to that, and again, we both think Wilson's going to make it. Dave Helman really likes C.J. Goodwin, and we do too. And he thinks they're going to find a way to get him on this roster.
We'll kick a defensive tackle instead.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was down to me, I would probably say if we're going to keep C.J. Goodwin and we keep everything else the way it is, we would let Tristan Hill go.
And hopefully they can at least get something out of him to someone like a 6.
Yeah.
Or bag of chips, like David said.
Right. All right, so for you guys who kind of joined us late, make sure you go back and watch this and take a look at all the discussion we did. We did a full in-depth analysis. Before we go, here's kind of the practice squad as well as all the guys that we kind of cut. Disregard to Tyrone Crawford, Randy Gregory. I just kind of put that there for discussion.
Yeah, and these aren't people that technically already, like, they didn't get cut, traded, or suspended. That's our category for where we think these guys could end up. Right. I think David got first. I think he thought that those were lists of like guys that were cut and traded for a second.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. We predict for these guys on the right.
As you guys can see, there's a lot of talent even on this list. There's a lot of names that everybody likes. But the reason we went through this exercise is because we want people to know you can't keep everybody. You only have 53 spots. So if you like Jalen Jelks or Joe Jackson or John Vea Johnson, you can't just say he's going to make the roster. Somebody has to go.
And who's that going to be?
So, yeah. And I love these discussions. Like, I love it when people say, I'm a Jalen Jelks fan too. Huge Jalen Jelks fan. But when I look at my list, I don't know who I would cut to keep him.
Another guy I hope makes it. I would like to see Ladarius Hamilton get to the practice squad. I think he could have something special and give him after a few years of developing.
All right, Lambo, who do you take off the practice squad then? All right.
Yep. I take McKeon off the practice squad, and I put him in the third spot on the active roster.
So you would take Cole Hicatini out.
Hold on, wait. Then we still need a tight end on the practice squad, so that don't help me out in the. Yeah, I don't know, man. Westry would be the guy probably for me, but then you don't have a corner on the practice squad.
Well, you'll have 7 corners on the active roster though. So
right. Because we're keeping Goodwin, so
right.
So that's what. Yeah, Westry, and then throw my guy Hamilton in, the North Texas dude.
Yeah. And I was thinking we got 3 receivers. Maybe we should cut one of them. But then Dave made the point that teams like to keep 3 receivers on the practice squad, which is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I forget, when guys play practice squad, they're not necessarily playing in their position. They're playing wherever you need them to play at. So if you got a guy that you need to go out there and mimic a cornerback for one team and then mimic a receiver for another team, you need guys who can run to do that.
Yeah.
I was shocked how much he liked Jordan Sean.
I know I didn't really have a comeback for it because I'm not really huge on him, but
yeah, I like what Jet and Sabo bring more than him. I definitely wouldn't keep a third one.
Yeah. I mean, that was an easy one for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, good info, guys. Definitely go back and check everything David threw at us. Some really good stuff. And we had Kelsey Charles last week. That's another good one to go back and watch if you didn't see that one. And like I said, a bunch of other good ones back there, and hopefully some good ones to come.
Yeah. So definitely, for you guys that joined us late, make sure you share this to your page and go back and watch it, because there was a lot of good information. This is from a guy who works directly for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, so you're getting the good info, man.
He interviews players directly, interviews coaches. So what he says, he got straight from the horse's mouth. It's not.
He brushes shoulders with everybody in the organization, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I mean, not right now with the whole COVID stuff, but normally.
Yeah.
He's right in the thick mix.
Yeah, what he says is not from a undisclosed source. This is him talking directly to player X and talking to the coach, and he knows the coach likes this guy or that guy.
Yeah, it helps also, being friends with every big insider out there, pretty much. Sure. I mean, he's got Jane Slater on the contacts list. So the phone. Brian Broaddus. Yeah, so.
Taiwan, I see you put Timmy Jen. I don't know who Timmy Jen is.
Timmy
Are you talking about Timmy Jernigan, the defensive tackle?
Is he a free agent?
He is a free agent.
That might be what he's talking about.
Yeah. I actually like Timmy Jernigan a lot. But
yeah, I liked him coming out of college. I hadn't kept up with him much these past few years, though.
Yeah, he went to the Ravens, and then he went to the Eagles. And then I think he may have played somewhere else last year, or he may have been with the Eagles again and got hurt and missed the season. But he has a lot of injury concerns.
Stash man, if you're watching this or do watch this, man, where my shark poster at, bro? Well, my personalized shark poster, Shark sent us. I'm just playing, but I'm not.
All right, guys. Well, before we go, again, make sure you share this. Make sure you rewatch it. Thank you for all your support. We really appreciate it. One of our guys. Oh, he said that's Dave's nickname, Timmy. Oh, I'm not calling him that.
Teeny. Oh, were you saying Teeny? Teeny? Oh, like I was okay. I read it as Tinny instead of Teeny.
Yeah, I read it as I did too. But yeah, one of our guys who follows us gave us some support in our Cash Apps, and we appreciate that. If you guys want to follow suit, make sure you come out and support.
Wrong.
Cash App is here. Right. Is there. We appreciate all your financial support. We also appreciate your comments, your likes, and your shares. Make sure you follow both of our pages. Lambo's at Cowboys Y'all on everything. I'm at Bluff City Cowboy on everything. We still have the giveaway going, right, Lambo?
Yeah, thank you so much, Taiwan. All right. Got a Cash App.
Okay.
What was that? Oh yeah, and the giveaway. It's listed. I got it pinned to the top of my page, Cowboys Y'all. So my Facebook, if y'all are watching from another page, because we got streaming on multiple pages right now, but my Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Cowboys Y'all, and I have it pinned to the top. It's a stitched Zeke jersey, a white home jersey, and a brand new Dallas Cowboys soft cooler. and we're gonna give those away to someone once we reach 50 entries. I think we're at like 22 total right now. So it's got it all listed on the post. You just like both of our pages, subscribe to us both on YouTube, share to your personal page, comment done, something like that. We just go to it and we'll enter you once we get to about 50 entries on one of our upcoming shows in the next few weeks. We'll figure out a way to give it away to somebody.
Right, and this is a nice jersey too, guys. So a like and a follow for a jersey, that's a good deal. So I think that's all we got for this week. Thank you guys again for joining us. In the next couple of weeks, I think we'll begin with the UK guys to talk some more Cowboys football.
Out there in the UK, I can't do it. I tried. Sorry,
We
Mike.
also have a couple of guests coming up too. So be sure to stay with us. We'll try to keep this thing getting bigger and better. And again, I'm Marcus, Love City Cowboy. Lambo.
And I'm Lambo with Cowboys, y'all. And you have watched the Cowboys Zone.
Cowboy Zone. Thank you guys for joining us. Have
Thanks,
a good
Tom.
one.